What's going on, guys? Lyrics and I'm back bringing you today another video, and in this one we're going to be going through my FIFA 23 controller and camera settings. Just your typical video. We do this pretty much every year and it's super useful for all my viewers. I'm not gonna lie, EA have made some changes this year, so there's a few new features and few new settings that we need to go through, so make sure you guys stay tuned for the video. Right, so jumping into the controller settings, and we're going to be starting off with a competitive master switch on, for the reason that when you go into Foot Champions and Rivals, it's automatically placed on. There's no option to turn it off, so you may as well get used to playing with it on. Free pass assistance is going to be on semi. Again, due to the competitive master switch, you have no option of playing on assisted, and semi is definitely better anyway. So yeah, for the long LBYs, LB RBYs, Y balls, super over bad through balls, you definitely want to have this on semi. We're going to hide the trainer for the reason that we don't really want any distractions on the screen when we're playing, like buttons flashing, arrows, stuff like that. And at the end of the day, it's not really super helpful anyway. So what is the point in actually having it? So yeah, we're just going to hide the trainer. Time finishing is going to be on, even though from what I've seen so far, it's not super needed like it was last year when it comes to finishing. Finishing does seem pretty much better than last year, but in the rare occurrences when you're in a situation where you're at like a tight angle, or you're on like you have like Griezmann on his right foot, like people like that, it's better to try and green the shot to just boost your odds of like a low percentage shot at goal than just taking an on-time shot and it's probably just not going to go in. So yeah, for that reason I like to leave it on. Next player switch indicator, that's also going to be on for me. The reason I like to use this, even though a lot of people don't, is because it lets you know which player you're going to be second man pressing with, which is obviously a super important feature, and it also tells you who you're going to LB switch to. So in a game like FIFA 22, for example, where the switching wasn't exactly perfect, it let you know when the game was messing up and giving you the wrong player that you're second man pressing or LB switching to. So I found that super helpful, and obviously I'm only like 15 to 20 games into this new game, FIFA 23. So I'm not sure how perfect the switching is. I think it is better than FIFA 22, but just to make sure and get rid of any errors from the game, you're gonna want to leave this on, in my opinion. Moving on to pass block assistance, I play with this on and off. I don't really see that much of a difference, to be honest, even though it says the interceptions become manual with it off. I don't really see that. If anything, I just see less lunges, but I'm going to leave it on anyway and test it out a little bit more before I commit to off. Auto switching, that's going to be on air balls and loose balls, of course, obvious. When someone crosses, you want it to auto switch. When there's like a 50-50 ball, you want it to auto switch, stuff like that. So yeah, there's no real better sense for that. Auto switching move assistance, I'm going to have that on none. The reason for that is in some years it was better to have it on high. For example, a year where there's like heavy Y balls and LBYs, because you would sometimes get animations where you switch to the player that you're tracking a run with and it would slow your player down before you start to sprint again when you take control of him. But I don't really see that issue this year, so I'm going to leave that on none for now. Clearance assistance directional, I think this is actually a super important one. When it comes to like the 45th minute and the 90th minute and the time has actually run out, being able to clear the ball out of play is super helpful, because relying on the cross button, it can easily like lock on like a fullback or a winger, someone that's actually in play and could actually extend the game. So yeah, just to make sure that the game's over and done with, getting the ball out of play, I think that's super valuable. And then also being able to clear a ball out for like a throw in instead of a corner. Overall, just having more control of where the ball goes. You could even clear it to like a striker that is pretty good in the air, in like the direction of him, and then you could end up winning the header. And something that would normally result in you turning the ball over, now you actually have another opportunity at attacking. So yeah, for that reason, I think directional is definitely the go-to. Player lock, this is going to be on, even if you're not good with it. Again, like I feel like you should use this, because I don't know, maybe you just get like a burst out of nowhere and you just do like a crazy player lock, you get a goal out of it. But even if you aren't using it a lot, I think you should try and learn this and then implement it into your game, because it is super effective way of getting goals. Right, so icon switching, we're going to turn this off. There's literally no use in this at all, due to the fact that there's always a random icon for each player. It's not like the same one. It's just too confusing, it takes too long, not useful at all. And then also there's sometimes a bug where you'll be attacking and this pops up. So yeah, just to get rid of all of that, take that off. Right, so moving on to right stick switching, and this is probably the most important setting for this whole year. And unfortunately for a lot of people who won't be watching YouTube, TikTok, stuff like that, the default setting is adaptive. And we read the description for you guys now. Holding right stick for longer will switch to more distant players as soon as you release it. So let me put this into perspective for you guys. if the setting is waiting for you to hold it longer to be able to differentiate between, you know, a quick right stick switch to like a centre mid or a longer one to a centre back, there's going to be delay in the switching, and this is something that you definitely notice. So yeah, you want to go ahead and put this on classic, and it will be pretty much the same settings as every other year, where as soon as you right stick switch, it will instantly switch to the player. So like I say, super important. Make sure you put this on classic. Trust me, you do not want it on adaptive. It makes it super delayed in the switching. You know, it might be only a millisecond behind, but in FIFA, that's years of time, you know. So yeah, make sure you put down classic. Right stick switch of reference, I put this on player relative. This has pretty much been the typical one for every single year. I have heard of some people playing on brawl relative, and I do see some situations where it may be more effective, but I think, you know, play whatever you're used to. Most people play player relative, as this was the only option when we first started playing. So we're going to leave it on player relative. Right, so moving on to the last few settings, and most of this pretty much speaks for itself. Ground pass is going to be unassisted. Shot is going to be assisted, of course. Crossing, that one is a little bit up for debate, as semi can give you a little bit more control over your crossing. However, I am going to be using unassisted for now, and I will update you guys in the future if I do change to semi. Lob pass, I'm going to have that on semi for the reason that when you have unassisted and you try to play out from the back, for example, with like the goalkeeper or something like that, sometimes it will lock onto a player that's a bit closer, even though you're trying to like punt it out to like your right mid or your left mid, someone like that. So just to have a little bit more control over that, that's something that we want to leave on semi. Lob through pass assisted, I don't know is this own setting, but literally the same as through pass assistance for the LBYs, LBRBYs. We want to get them cracked. Save assistance, I think that's literally a Procos thing. Doesn't really matter, but we're going to have an assisted anyway. Analog sprint, this is completely up to you. I think it is a preference thing. However, I did hear a rumor last year that having it on kind of ruined your L1 dribbling. So that's something to keep in mind. Pass receive a lot, we're going to leave this on late. This is a typical setting. We use it pretty much every single year. There is an interesting new one called Power Up, which I kind of like the description of. I'll let you guys read it for yourself here. So if that's something that interests you, you guys can switch that on. I'm going to test it out, see what I like, see if I like it myself. But for now, you know, if I was to go into like a tournament tomorrow, I'll be on late. So I'm going to give you guys late as well. The vibration feedback, of course, you don't want your controller vibrating mid-game. Unless you do on like a penalty or like a slide tackle, red card, something like that, then leave that on. But I'm going to play with it off. Trigger effect, of course, you want this off. No real reason to have this on at all. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up the controller settings. So we're going to jump into the camera settings right now. So jumping into the camera settings, what I'm going to be using is my usual co-op 15 high and 5 zoom custom. Scrolling all the way down to the power shot zoom, make sure you guys turn this off, and not for the reason that a lot of people are saying. A lot of people are like, you need to turn it off because it's easier to time. It's harder to time when you're zooming in. Whereas I don't see it that way. I find it kind of easy to to actually aim on the zoom. However, my issue becomes when someone else does it against me. I find it really weird defending when my camera's like zooming in and out to actually get into like a lane and actually block the shot. So yeah, make sure you guys turn this off. This is super crucial, as you know, someone could even exploit this in a way where they keep pretending that they're going to shoot power shots and cancel it, and it will completely just ruin your camera and give you a bad gaming experience. So make sure you guys turn this off. But yeah, positives to co-op if you guys are new to this, compared to the typical cameras, which are probably going to be telly or tele broadcast. Co-op, you can pretty much see the entire pitch, so it makes it a lot easier to track stuff like LBYs, German crosses, see if a guy's open back post without having to necessarily look at your mini map. So it's good for people that are lazy like me. And obviously, you know, like change your focus to like the mini map in, you know, like a intense game or like mid possession is obviously a little bit of a risk. So it just makes defending overall a little bit easier. The negatives to co-op normally are finishing, as the angles are a little bit harder to judge, obviously because you're a little more zoomed out. So that is going to be a negative. But I'll be honest, finishing this year, it's not really the hardest. I think it's pretty easy, to be honest. So that's not too big of a deal. And then the other usual negative is the dribbling, which I've never found much of an issue, but people that switch, they have told me, you know, they find it a little bit harder. But I'll be honest, dribbling this year is absolutely chalk. So that can't be a negative for co-op. That's a negative for every camera. So right, guys, there we have it. That is pretty much the end of the video. Controller and camera settings for FIFA 23. Probably won't do another updated video of this, as I probably will be using these settings throughout the entire year. But if there is any updates to, you know, any settings that I find or anything that I deem important, I will leave it in the comments below or in the description to make sure you guys are updated on that. But yeah, that's pretty much me signing out. Thanks a lot for watching. I'm gonna be uploading a lot more consistently throughout FIFA 23, so stay tuned for that. I know I said that in my last video, however, uh, I had an issue with my monetization where it pretty much got deleted, so I need to get partner again pretty much. So uploading videos at the end of FIFA 22, it wouldn't have been, you know, time or cost efficient for me. So that's the reason why I went on a break, and then I'm back here for FIFA 23. We're gonna be doing coaching content, you know, packs, gameplay, stuff like that. So yeah, make sure you guys stay tuned, subscribe, and yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.